So it's December now, which means I can update you on the reptile room. So I don't actually do this every month. I just do it on months that I actually have new or different stuff to show you, like I do this month. But yeah, like usual, I'll just take you around the room and show you all of my current reptiles and amphibians and their enclosures. So we can get started. Firstly, behind me, I've got my 40-gallon toad vivarium. And right now, I kind of have two enclosures that aren't looking their best because this one I'm going to be hopefully redoing. I guess this will be one of my first 2017 projects, or maybe sometime in December. But basically, you can see all of these plants around here have just been knocked over. And I actually replanted all these like 15 minutes before recording, and they've already knocked them all over. They're just so destructive, like toads usually are in enclosures, because they tend to bury and dig under the plants and then just knock all the roots up, since the roots aren't actually intertwined and very deep into the ground. But you'll just have to kind of ignore that, and hopefully I can figure out something to avoid that when I redo the enclosure. So I'll just show you the two biggest toads. I've got the two adult females right here. I think both of these are American. I'm pretty sure they're both American. This one might be a Fowler's. It's really hard to tell. And I even get them mixed up. But I've got 7 of the toads in here right now, and they've been growing up quite a bit. I can get out some of the smaller ones also. And 2 of them actually haven't been eating as well. So I have to take them out and basically put them in a separate container for a while to actually encourage them to eat, which it works, but they're a bit underweight. So as you can see, this guy is much more thin than he should be, but he's actually already looking a bit better than he was before. I might also try more variety. He might just not be the biggest fan of mealworms, which is what I'm doing with the toads right now. Don't you bite me. Don't you bite me. So secondly, I've got Olive, the blue-tongued skink right here. She's about 1.5 years old now, and I got her when she was just about a month old. So I've had her for almost 1.5 years. Now, I don't know if you've seen her when I first got her, but she was way smaller than this because she eats like crazy. She'll eat just about anything I put in there, except for her greens, of course, but I have to mix that in. So I think she shed just a few weeks ago, which she does rather often to already be pretty large. And because I'm not 100% sure what species she is, last time I asked you guys, like a third of you said that she's an Eastern, and then like a third said an Irian Jaya, and then a third said a mix of the two. So she's got something relating to those. She's got that cool steak looking pattern, as I call it. And then she's in the 40-gallon right behind me with Eco Earth and a snake plant. Olive has to be probably the most outgoing of my animals because she's really just seems to be fearless. She'll basically eat anything you put in front of her, and she's not afraid to basically show authority. She'll hiss at you, and she really doesn't like to back down if you accidentally scare her or anything. So that's one of the cool things about her. And of course, she's got that blue tongue. But yep, that's Olive, the blue tongue. She's been looking really healthy, and she's had no problems whatsoever. Really ever. I don't think she's ever had any issues. So next up is someone you probably recognize from just a few videos ago, when he was in his own separate video about getting him. Just let that water drip off. So here's the red ear slider that I've had for just a few weeks now, and he's about 10 years old, I believe, is what the previous owner said. And you might remember he had the scale rot going on here, and then the bone disease going on here. Again, there's nothing I can really do about the bone disease other than give him the UVB that he has now. But I've been treating the scale rot, and it's really looking pretty much quite a bit better, and there's still some way to go with that, but it's getting there. And he does have a name now. We picked out a name, and there were a lot of names left on the video, but the winning name is Franklin. So this is Franklin, the red ear slider, and he's been doing a lot better. Like, he is dripping just everywhere, but he's doing a lot better than before, and I finally got him on to eating pellets. So I was having trouble with that because really all I could get him to eat was mealworms and occasionally like a carrot or a strawberry. But now he's finally eating pellets, so for now I'm just sticking to pellets because they have just about everything he needs. So there were lots of different opinions on whether I should actually keep him in this baby pool or not. Some people said I should move him to a empty large glass aquarium I have, and then others said that this is perfect for him. There's plenty of different opinions. That's just how the reptile community is. But for now, I've decided to keep him in this for a few reasons. Firstly, I'm pretty sure it was Animal Art TV that said this, where if the animal's been living in something for a really long time and that's what they're used to, then he tends to keep them in that, even if it's not technically the proper setup. I'm pretty sure, hopefully I didn't mess that up. But basically the problem with this is, from what a lot of sites say, is the water height should be about at least 2 of the shell heights, and this is so that if they fall over or flip over, they can get back up. And this is just about 1 centimeter over his shell when it's filled to the correct height in this baby pool, like without spilling or without him being able to swim out. So I did actually see him flip in this once. I think I had a rock in a weird position, so when he slid off into the water, he ended up flipping, but he was able to very quickly flip himself back over with no problem, and I haven't seen him have any issues, and he hasn't flipped over since then. I have these rocks in the middle, and if you put your hand under that, it's nice and warm from that ceramic bulb there that he can bask under, and he's been basking quite a bit. And the other reason that I decided to keep him in this, for now at least, is because he has a lot more space to swim around, so it is less depth, but there's a lot of actual swimming area. So although I said he is getting much better and he's not as nervous around me, that's certainly true when he's in the water and when he can move around, but right now he's starting to panic, so he just peed on me. I'll go ahead and put him back and feed him some pellets. So next up we've got the really tiny juvenile box turtle right here, which you also saw in, I think, the most recent video, and she's been doing a lot better. At first she wasn't eating too much, and she was having eye problems like I talked about before, but now she's looking great, and I think she's grown just a little bit. Last time I weighed her, she was 9 grams, I think, so a very tiny thing. So she's all covered in dirt because she was buried in her soil. She's kept in this tub right here, which I found works well because the sides aren't fully transparent, and glass really confuses turtles, so she's never like running into the side of the enclosure or anything, since there is that green tint to it. There's a few inches of a mix of eco earth and forest floor in there, which I found looks really cool, and I'm considering doing that for Olive and maybe even the toads, just because I really like the look of the mix of the two. Other than that, there's just some different sticks in here that she likes to hide under, and some fake plants and a water bowl. But she's also really active. She's really not afraid to move around now. She gets a little startled when I pick her up, but I don't do that very often. I'm feeding her primarily just box turtle pellets, and she's actually so tiny that I've only had to buy 1 pack of the sample size, which is just like $2, because she eats a lot for her size, but since she is so small, I go through those really slowly. So the next guy I've got here to show you is Shadow, but he won't let go of the tripod and I can't get him off. So right here we've got Shadow, the black rat snake. And as you may know, he hasn't been great with handling. I don't know where he's trying to get, but he's actually doing much better, even though he might look a little restless right now. He hasn't musked in like over a month probably. He used to musk every single day, every time I would take him out, and he's doing a lot better now. But first, let me go ahead and get out of the way. This is his 20-gallon enclosure, and I know what you're thinking, it's the worst setup you've ever seen, and I'm aware of that, because he's not going to be in it for much longer. I'm going to be moving him to basically a custom shelf that I'll be doing for 3 of my larger snakes. So it would be kind of just a waste of time to improve that, since he won't be in it for much longer, but you'll see a video on that soon, hopefully. Okay, so back to Shadow. I keep saying he, don't actually know the gender, but what I can tell you is he or she is still pretty young, because you can see that black belly. It almost looks like a black racer's belly, but he is a black rat snake. That just means he's still pretty young. So I've had him for a number of months now, and he's been eating just fine. And so originally I was feeding him adult mice, but then all of a sudden he started vomiting them up. He vomited like 2 up in like 2 weeks in a row. So I moved him down to a slightly smaller size, and I just feed him slightly more often, and he's just fine now. He doesn't have any problems, and surprisingly he does eat frozen thawed. I don't know where he's trying to go. He's got a really interesting pattern to be a rat snake. He's got those white spots on him, which I believe that's also because he's still young. And he just really has lots of different shades of almost green on his back. But other than that, he's been really healthy. He's been doing really well, and he doesn't seem to mind the 20-gallon enclosure. He doesn't try to escape it anymore or anything, and he's really just calmed down all around. So it's really nice, and I take him to festivals because he is native in my state. So he's a good education animal. what are you doing? And okay, he thinks the camera's a tree. Just get on your tree. And now I have to somehow get him off of the camera. So next is someone you usually see right behind me in videos, and that's Goldie, the giant leopard gecko. Let's see if I can get the morph right. I think he's a Sungloapter giant leopard gecko, and apter is Chimper albino patternless orange leopard gecko. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So Goldie's already a few years old. I've had him for over 2 years now, and yeah, he was my second reptile. And when I first got him, I was having difficulties getting him to eat, so I contacted the breeder and he helped me out. And now Goldie eats really well, and he has been for way over a year. Probably at least 2 years he's been eating really well. But yeah, his colors have always been really cool. I've always noticed that green right on the top of his eyes is the only green on all of his body. And then he has that weird little spot that's always been on his back with the little white and brown. So he's got some really interesting colors and patterns going on. And quite a few people will ask me how to basically tame down leopard geckos because their gecko might like bite them or just hate being handled. And I really usually don't know what to say other than just handle them daily or every few days, because I've never had that problem with Goldie. He's been really chill from the start, and although he gets it's easy to startle him, like if you pick up his hide and he doesn't expect it, of course he gets startled from that, but right after he's always really calm for a long period of time. But yeah, that's Goldie. He's got his 20 gallon going on with his 2 hides, and I actually have a ceramic heater and a heat pad on here, and some people say you just need a heat pad, but I just add that ceramic heater, and he really does actually sit under it, and then sometimes he is on the heat pad, and he can cool off to proper temperatures on the cool side with that plastic container. So next up we've got Gobi, my albino corn snake. More specifically, I think he's an Okiti corn snake based on the colors and patterning on his back. So I'd have to argue that Gobi makes the best educational animal, because although when I got him he was already a few years old and had never been handled by the previous owners, he was immediately completely fine with being handled. I guess he's kind of the only snake of mine that hasn't either bitten or struck at me, and he all around is just really friendly, and I have no problem showing him to different people, letting people hold him and pet him, because he's super chill and completely fine with it all. And I'm also going to put him in the basically custom shelf thingy that I'll be doing for the larger snakes. So I'd have to say Gobi is the most active of my snakes, because he really moves around a lot, both during the day and at night, especially around the feeding time, because he knows I always feed him once a week, right when it's getting dark. But yeah, he really has, I really rarely see corn snakes with such interesting colors and patterns. He's just so bright and such bold colors on him. It's definitely really neat. And I am pretty sure he's a male. I can't be 100% sure right now, but based on the scales and length of his tail, I believe he is a male, so that's what I'm going with for now, but it doesn't really matter anyway. But yeah, that's Gobi. So next up, we've got Sunny. He's the second to last animal I'll be showing you, and as you probably know, he's the first snake or first reptile I ever actually got. And it's also pretty cool because it's now December 2016, and I got him in December 2013, so I've had him for just about 3 years now, and he's about 3.5 years old. He's a yellow belly ball python, and I'm actually feeding him adult mice also, frozen thawed, because he refuses anything larger. It's kind of weird because he could be eating small rats, which he was for a while, but he no longer will. So he's just on adult mice right now. And it's so weird to see just how much he's grown, because he's the animal that I've had where I've really got to see him grow from a baby to, I guess, with 3.5 years old, be adult or sub-adult. I don't know, but he used to be able to fit in the palm of my hand, and now he fills way more than both of my hands. And he really, I can just tell he weighs a lot. I really need to weigh him again. I don't remember the last time I did, but he's definitely been growing, even though he doesn't eat quite as big of meals. So Sunny's also in a 20-gallon enclosure, and some people say that's too small for him, but I really feel like that's enough space for now. But I will also be moving him to the shelf thing with the corn snake and the black rat snake, so he will actually have about twice as much height, but it'll be about the same depth and length. So I think he'll enjoy that more once I'm done with it. I think I mentioned this in the past, but I swapped his normal bedding out with newspaper because the other one was holding too much humidity for him. And the newspaper seems to work just fine. There's still enough buffer in between the heat pad and his enclosure, or in between the heat pad and him, because it doesn't get very hot anyway. The newspaper seems to work just fine, and I'm able to keep it really clean because it's so easy to replace the newspaper compared to spot cleaning with bedding. So we're on to the final animal now, which happens to be my newest reptile, and somehow some of you already know what this is. I'm not sure how because I didn't post it anywhere, but here's a hint. I just pulled out the water bowl and this was stuck to it. It's a little bit of snake shed, and I could actually tell that she was in shed, and you can see how small it is, so you can guess how small the snake is. But yeah, I'm actually surprised that she said shed in time for the video. So let's get her out. So here's the main piece of shed, and it's actually pretty big, and I'm pretty surprised that it came off in one piece because I forgot to bump the humidity up. But here she is. This is a juvenile Kenyan sand boa. I've had her for just a couple weeks now. I think almost 2 weeks or almost 3 weeks. So I got her at the reptile expo called Repticon in North Carolina. And something interesting is the breeder I got her from wasn't actually a breeder. It was a rescue and rehab facility. So I guess it's sort of like adopting a reptile there, and they had things available that they either rescued from places or rehabilitated. So this is a Kenyan sand boa that they had. They had two, a male and a female. I went with the female just because she'll get a bit bigger, and if I do someday want to breed it, then that leaves the option because it's usually easier to get males. But I'm just going to zoom in so you can really see the colors are just so cool on this, and there's actually quite a few different morphs of Kenyan sand boas, but my favorite, I saw some of the others at different breeders, my favorite is just the normal. This is no extra morph, no special paint jobs, this is just a normal Kenyan sand boa, and it's something like what you would find in the wild. So I'm feeding her pinkies right now. She could probably take something a little bit bigger, but pinkies work just fine for now, and then once those run out, I can upgrade her to whatever's next. I guess that would be Hopper, or maybe it's Fuzzy, I'm not sure. So there's actually a lot of really cool things that I like about her, and one is the colors and like the patterning, even just the gradient. It goes from like a super bold orange, and then it gradients down into a tannish white. It's also really cool because the scales up here are really smooth, but then as you go down the body, they get much more rough. They are a burrowing snake. They're burrowed most of the time, so maybe the smooth scales are to help making burrowing easier, I'm not sure. And the other really cool thing are the eyes. The eyes are so tiny right now because she is so young. I'm guessing she's a few months old, but they didn't actually know. But yeah, this is the newest animal that I finally get to show you, the Kenyan sand boa. And she doesn't have a name. I'm terrible at names, as you know. But if you do have any name ideas for her, it is a female, like I said, then make sure to tell me in the comments. But yeah, the facility had already got her on frozen thawed mice, and sometimes you just have problems with new snakes, but she ate just a few days after with no problem. And she'll grow probably about less than 3 feet or so. And something else kind of interesting is this is actually, I didn't realize until after getting her, she's the smallest snake I've ever owned, because although I got Sunny when he was just like a month old or a few months old, he wasn't this small because he was a ball python. And then the rest of my snakes were already sub-adult when I got them. So it's really cool to have such a small snake that I'll get to watch grow all the way to full size, kind of like Sunny, just starting out a bit smaller, and that won't get quite as big. But yeah, as of December 2016, this is the reptile room that I've got to show you. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the different animals and seeing how they're all doing. Everyone, except for the 2 toads that aren't eating quite as much, everyone is doing just fine and is really healthy, and I know they'll all do really well in the future. So yeah, I hope you keep a lookout for future videos because they're definitely coming. I'll try and post a lot in December and then throughout next year. So hopefully I can update you on some of my personal animals before 2017 because I do have some new plans and new ideas, not for new animals, but for my current animals with what I can do with their setups and stuff. So that's it for this video. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.